Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into a specific piece of gear, the Roland V Stage.
That's right. We've got a user manual and also a review from musicbundle.nl. So the official specs and what people actually think.
Exactly. So for you, the learner listening in, our mission is pretty straightforward. Unpack this V Stage, see what makes it tick, its main features, what musicians are saying, get you up to speed quickly but properly without getting bogged down in jargon.
Yeah, and it's interesting straight away. You look at these sources, and it feels positioned as a serious professional tool. High-quality sounds, intuitive use for stage and studio. That seems to be the vibe.
It does. Having the manual and the review is great. Gives us that balanced view.
Okay, so where do we start? The basics, I guess.
Yeah, good idea. First off, there are two main flavors, right? The V Stage 88 and the V Stage 76.
Correct. The 88 has, 88 weighted keys. They even mentioned escapement and an ivory feel, proper piano stuff.
And the 76, that's got 76 keys, but they're semi-weighted waterfall style.
Which the review points out is quite different. The 88 leans towards pianists, that weighted feel, the escapement mimicking a real piano action.
Right, that little clicky feel.
Exactly. Whereas the 76's waterfall keys are lighter, faster, better suited perhaps for organ players doing glissandos or maybe synth players.
Makes sense. So different tools for different jobs, basically, even within the same product line?
Pretty much. They've thought about the playing styles.
Okay, so under the hood, what's generating the sound? The manual lists 5 independent sound sections.
Yeah, it breaks it down. Organ, acoustic piano, A piano, electric piano, E piano, and then 2 separate synthesizer sections, Synth A and Synth B.
Plus sections for effects, master controls, controllers. We'll get to those. But it's interesting, the review just calls them 4 sound engines.
Maybe they're just grouping SY nth A and B together for simplicity. Or maybe conceptually think of it as 4 types of sound.
Could be. But the manual is clear 5 distinct generation areas. That detail might matter for flexibility, maybe layering SY nth A and B differently.
Good point. That independence could be key. So how do you manage all this? The manual talks about scenes.
Right. Scenes seem central. Each one is like a total snapshot, remembers which sounds are on or off, volumes, splits on the keyboard, the actual sounds chosen, effect settings, even edited parameters.
Wow. Okay. So a complete setup recall.
Yeah, and you can save up to 512 of them. That's a lot of sounds ready to go.
512 scenes, that's more than enough for pretty much any gig.
Yeah.
So you hit one button and boom, completely new setup.
Exactly. Crucial for playing live, I'd imagine. No messing around between songs.
And then they build on that with scene chains.
Yeah, saw that. Linking scenes in a specific order.
Precisely. So for your set list, you program the chain, scene 1 for song 1, scene 7 for song 2, scene 23 for song 3. Whatever you need.
And then you just step through them with a button or pedal.
That's the idea. It takes the guesswork out of finding the right sound under pressure. It just streamlines the whole live performance flow.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's dig into those sound engines a bit more. Acoustic piano first.
Sure. The manual says it uses Roland's V piano technology. The review, interestingly, mentions the Supernatural engine from the manual in this context.
Right, so V piano Supernatural, probably related tech representing their top-tier piano modeling.
Almost certainly. They offer various grands, uprights, even a felt piano, which is cool.
And it has that piano designer feature for tweaking, like brightness, resonance, hammer noise.
Yeah.
Deep customization.
Yeah, the review really picks up on the dynamic simulation, says it feels authentic. One user apparently compared it to playing a real grand, just, digital.
High praise. What about the electric piano section?
Both sources mention the essentials. Tine and clavinet sounds. You need those for jazz, soul, funk.
Absolutely. And the manual lists effects like MFX, tremolo, amp sims. Standard stuff, but necessary.
But the review highlights something called sound lift.
Sound lift? What's that supposed to do?
It says it helps subtle details in the E-piano sound cut through a mix. Maybe some clever EQ or dynamic trick.
Interesting, like making sure your ghost notes aren't completely lost when the band kicks in.
Could be something like that. A thoughtful touch for live playing, definitely.
Okay, next. The organ engine.
This uses their virtual tone wheel tech. So aiming for that classic, Hammond B3 kind of sound.
Gotcha. The manual mentions adjustable harmonic bars, rotary speaker effects, overdrive.
All the key ingredients. The review confirms the virtual tone wheel is the core here. The manual goes deeper, talking about 3 layers in the organ console for combining sounds.
3 layers, like upper manual, lower pedals, maybe?
Probably. Good for gospel, rock, blues,
Hmm.
complex organ setups. And it details tweaking the drawbars, the rotary speed and break, different overdrive types like VK and GAP, vibrato chorus.
They really went depth on the organ, seems like.
It looks that way, capturing the nuances.
All right, and finally, the synthesizers. SYNT-A and SYNT-B.
Right, the manual just lists them as two independent parts, but the review connects them to the ZN Core engine.
Ah, Z and Core. That's Roland's big modern synth platform, isn't it?
Exactly. The review says over 400 built-in tones, plus access to Roland Cloud for expansions. That opens things up massively.
So way beyond just pianos and organs. And you can tweak parameters like attack, release, filter.
Yeah, intuitive controls for basic sound shaping. And the manual notes, crucially, that A and B can be layered or split, and each gets its own multi-effects unit, its own MFX.
So essentially, two independent synths running side by side.
Pretty much. That offers huge potential for creating really rich, complex, layered sounds, or having totally different synth sounds on different parts of the keyboard. Super versatile.
Okay, let's switch gears. How do you actually control all this? The user interface.
Both the manual and review seem positive here. They
Yeah.
talk about an intuitive layout, dedicated knobs and buttons for each sound section.
That sounds good. Less menu diving, hopefully?
That seems to be the goal, especially for live use. You want hands-on control. Organ drawbars, piano controls, synth filters right there.
The review mentions the screen, too. A 4.3-inch color LCD says it's easy to see, even on stage.
Which is a big plus. And those dynamic LED buttons that light up to show what's active. That kind of visual feedback is super helpful.
Yeah, you can just glance down and see which engines are on. No guesswork.
Exactly. Keeps you focused on playing.
The manual also points out the master EQ and compressor for shaping the final output.
Essential stuff. High, mid, low controls, plus mid-frequency and level for the EQ. Good for adapting to different rooms or PA systems.
And the compressor helps smooth things out. Standard pro features, really.
Absolutely. And then there are the assignable controls. Wheels, switches, pedals. The manual mentions an assign button.
Right, and the review talks about flexible connectivity for external controllers, so you can customize how you interact with it.
Yeah, hook up expression pedals, foot switches, control Leslie speed, filter sweeps, whatever you assign. Really opens up performance possibilities.
And getting back to scenes quickly, you can recall them directly with buttons 1 through 8, plus shift for more banks.
Seems so. Direct access is key. And dedicated buttons for split and layer functions, too. Makes setting those up nice and quick.
Okay, connectivity. How does it hook up to everything else? The manual calls it Ansluten op een extern Apparat.
Connecting to external devices, yeah. And the review says flexible connectivity. Looks pretty stacked.
Yeah, seems like it. AC power in, headphones, main outs on balanced XLR and TRS, which is great.
Pro-level stuff. Plus, sub-outs on TRS, line input, even a mic input on XLR.
Wow, mic input too. And pedal jacks, of course. MIDI, in-out 1 and an out 2 that doubles as through.
Good MIDI options.
Yeah.
And then USB, a Type-C port for computer connection audio, and MIDI over that one cable.
Oh, that's modern. Nice.
Very nice. Plus a USB memory port for saving stuff, and dedicated USB ports for plugging in specific Roland controllers like the A49 or APRO.
So it really integrates well, especially if you're already in the Roland ecosystem.
Looks like it. That comprehensive I/O is definitely a sign of a pro-level stage instrument. The USB audio MIDI interface is huge for studio integration, too.
The review definitely highlights that USB-C part for computer use makes it a powerful studio controller and sound source as well.
Yeah, it's clearly designed to be versatile, live centerpiece, studio hub. It can communicate well with hardware and software.
So we've got the tech specs, the features, but what do actual users think? The review had that section. What do users think?
And the feedback seems overwhelmingly positive, right?
Yeah, that's the main takeaway. People seem to love the versatility, the sound quality, and that it's easy to use despite being powerful.
That's the sweet spot manufacturers aim for. Complex inside, simple outside.
The users apparently find those sound engines, whether you call it 4 or 5, really realistic and detailed. Good for switching genres live.
Uh-huh.
And the V Piano Supernatural Tech gets specific shout-outs for realism and dynamics, the quote you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, the feels like a real grand piano, but with digital advantages one.
That's the one. Speaks volumes, really.
It does. Suggests the modeling and keyboard connection is working well for players.
And speaking of keyboards, the Action itself, both the 88-weighted and the 76 semi-weighted, gets praised. Natural, intuitive feel.
Crucial. If the keys don't feel right, nothing else matters as much. So good feedback on both types is significant.
The color screen and controls also get good marks for ease of use during gigs, and they mention it feels durable, solid metal chassis ready for touring.
Important for working musicians. You need gear that can take a few knocks.
Now, it wasn't all perfect. The review did mention a couple of downsides.
Okay, like what?
Lack of built-in speakers was one point. You always need external amplification or headphones.
That's pretty common for Pro Stage pianos, though. Keeps the focus on sound quality and action, maybe saves weight and cost.
True. The other point was price. Some felt it was high, especially for hobbyists.
Understandable. It's positioned as a professional tool, so it likely carries a professional price tag. Most seem to think it was justified by the quality, though.
Yeah, that was the general consensus. Quality justifies the cost for the target user.
And the review mentioned genre-specific praise.
It did. Jazz players liking the e-pianos, organists digging the virtual tone wheel, synth folks happy with Zen Core and Roland Cloud Access.
That's a good sign. Means each engine is strong enough on its own to satisfy specialists. Really speaks to its versatility.
So before we wrap up, just a few quick operational things from the manual. Basic stuff like power on-off volume at 0 first, auto-off feature,
Standard practice, good reminders. Auto-off is handy, good you can disable it too.
and it obviously covers saving and selecting scenes, using scene chains, configuring the sections on-off, volume, pan, splits, octaves.
All the core workflow elements, making those easy is vital for usability.
The manual also has super detailed descriptions of every knob and button on the panel for each section.
Right, for those who really want to know exactly what everything does, a deep dive resource.
And finally, navigating menus for deeper settings, system saves, factory resets, safety info, maintenance, the full works.
A comprehensive manual is essential for a deep instrument like this. Good they covered all that.
Okay, so summing up for the learner, this Roland V Stage really does seem like a powerful, versatile beast aimed squarely at pro or serious musicians.
Definitely. You've got those distinct sound engines, the intuitive hands-on controls, great connectivity, and mostly glowing user reviews. It looks like a solid tool for stage and studio.
Yeah, the detailed sound customization, the scene workflow for quick changes, it all points to a well-thought-out instrument. Hopefully this dive gave you a good, clear picture without being overwhelming.
It seems Roland packed a lot in, but tried to keep it manageable. The positive feedback suggests they largely succeeded. A real powerhouse.
Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with, the learner. Thinking about this V Stage with its deep sound shaping and the expandable ZN Core engine via Roland Cloud, it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Wonder what?
Well, how instruments like this might move beyond just replicating classic sounds. Could they actually start inspiring totally new kinds of sounds, new musical textures?
Interesting point. With that much flexibility and potential for expansion, maybe it does open doors to sonic territories we haven't really explored yet.
Exactly. What new palettes could musicians create with a platform this versatile? Something to think about. Anyway, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.